Welcome to the Podium. This is a weekly sports show on Channel 310, released every Thursday at noon, where we decide what are the biggest sports stories of the week, and we'll rank them bronze, silver, and gold medal. So I'm an LA comedian, Eric Abbenante. This is an LA comedian, Niles, Abston, right next to me.
What's up?
And then we got the Chicago sports journalist, the one with actual credibility.
The guy that actually knows what he's doing.
Just a little bit.
He gets an actual job with an actual paycheck. You know, this is Russell Dorsey.
EBT.
What's up, guys?
How you been?
Man, I'm hanging in, doing good. It's raining out here, and it's cold, so it's feeling like fall, and that's dope.
At least we don't have to deal with that.
Yeah, I mean, we can relate because it's dipping into like the low 80s right now,
Right.
and it's like, you know,
Yeah, guys got the wildfires and stuff going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is in Northern California, so we don't really care. You know,
Wow.
we're SoCal. We don't care about NorCal.
Speak for yourself.
We have two new segments on the show today.
Yeah.
It's pretty exciting. So we're gonna talk about the over-unders, the NFL bets today. So first of all, we got the LA Rams at the Jags. The Jags are a 2.5 point favorite at home.
Okay.
These are two teams that I don't think anyone really expected to be good, and they're both pretty dang solid right now. Jared Goff's looking good. Everyone besides Blake Bortles is looking good on the Jags.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about this one?
Go ahead, Russ.
Go ahead.
No, you go.
I think the Jags are gonna, hold the over there. I'm gonna talk about them a little bit later in the show, but they are. I'll give you some of their info right now. They lead the league in points per game, or they're third in the league in points per game against average. So they're only giving up 16.5 points a game, which is amazing. Their defense is totally retooled, and Blake Bortles, they're winning despite him. They're not putting him in a position where his mistakes can cost him games. So I really like the Jags. I really like them going forward, and that's a team people really should watch out for.
Yeah, I agree. I like the Jags defense. A lot of speed, a lot of power, especially playing at home. I really like picking good defenses at home. So I'll go Jags over Rams. I'm not really sold on the Rams just yet.
Not only do I do like the Jags. I mean, their front four is magnificent. Leonard Fournette is he is a revelation, but I'm really reticent. I can't pick Blake Bortles. I really can't.
Okay.
It's just, I know they've had great games, but it's been very turnover based, right? The defensive four might be outscoring what Blake Bortles has done if you take out Leonard Fournette. So I think Jared Goff and them. I don't want to pick them either. It's like who do you want to pick, Goff or Bortles? I don't want to pick either, but I really like the coaching of Sean McVay right now. I really believe in what he's doing, and I think he just has a system. Look at how he's using Tavon Austin finally.
Yep.
I think I'm going to choose the Rams.
Okay.
So the next one, a personal favorite for me because my dad is from Flint, Michigan. The Lions are at the Saints, and the Saints are given 4.5 points. And I really think that's because the Superdome is really probably the best home field advantage in the NFL.
It's the craziest stadium in the NFL, man. I love it.
I mean, but Stafford, Breeze, these games are always
shootouts.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Lions. I'm a Saints fan, but I lost hope. I don't. Defensive wise, we have not improved, especially in the secondary. But I think we were exposed by the Patriots at home a couple weeks ago. And I think the Lions have been clicking offensively in certain ways. So I'm going to go Lions. And I think they're going to upset them in the Superdome. And I'm a Saints fan, and it hurts me to say that.
I'm with Niles. I'm going Lions in the Superdome. They have players that make plays.
Yeah.
Amir Abdullah's, he isn't living up to what they quite hoped he would be, but he's making some plays for them. Golden Tate, always been a playmaker. He's doing that. Marvin Jones, getting big time catches for him. If they could get Eric Ebron to do absolutely anything, that would be one of the most dangerous teams in the NFC. Yeah. But it seems like Eric Ebron doesn't want to live up to that top 15 draft status. So we'll see. But they're still, despite all of that, a really good team, and I'm taking them.
I disagree with both of you. I think the Saints could win this one, but either way, I would take the Lions on the points because their history of close games.
Yeah.
I think last year they had 9 or 10 close games, and this year it's more of the same. They don't ever win blowouts, and they don't ever lose in blowouts. And so if you're going to get points for the Lions, you take those every single time.
Okay.
I would take the Lions just by the points. I actually think the Saints could win this one. Drew Brees makes less mistakes than Stafford, but I do like the Lions for the pick. So the next one is the Eagles are at the Panthers, and the Panthers are only given 3. And for those of you who don't know the intricacies of Vegas, usually the home team automatically is given 3 points. So if the Panthers are only given 3, that means Vegas thinks this is an even matchup and that the only deciding factor could be home field advantage. I think Vegas is a little off on this. I think the Panthers are an ascending team. They are clicking, and I think they could light up the Eagles, actually.
Okay. This is a tough one for me because, like you said, Panthers are ascending. They just came off a really big win. But then Carson Wentz is really, caught his stride. I think he's playing very well right now. But with the Panthers being at home, I'm going to ride with the Panthers at home on this one. I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to come down to maybe a field goal, maybe a 2-minute drill at the end. I'm going to go Panthers at home.
It's crazy because, like Niles said, Carson Wentz is playing really good ball right now. And the emergence of, a complete offense, having Alshon Jeffrey has been really big for him. Having Zach Ertz has been really big for them. And also, LeGarrette Blount has been really big for them, actually having a ground and pound type running game. But it seems like since I lit Cam up on Podium of Shame, he's been lighting it up. He's getting back to the Cam of old, the one that made plays, used his feet to get out of the pocket and make throws. And the emergence of Devin Funchess as their feature wide receiver, even more so than Kelvin Benjamin, has been really big for them. So I agree it's going to be one of those whoever gets the ball last might win the game, one field goal will win it type of games. I'm going to take Cam and the Panthers at home. Really good defense.
Cam trying to get that yogurt money back. That's what's up.
Yeah.
You let that one slip.
And Funchess has really changed what they do in the red zone. Their efficiency has been a lot better.
I love Funchess since college. He was a huge red zone threat for University of Michigan. Yeah, nobody in the Big Ten could stop him in the red zone, and it's translated to the league really well. So I like him and Cam. I like that duo.
All right, so the next 2 games we're talking about, these are home dogs. These are teams who are at home but are still underdogs. Right. So what I said earlier, if you're given 3 points automatically as a home team and you're still an underdog, Vegas thinks that you're at least more than 3 points worse than this next team. So Green Bay is at Minnesota, and Minnesota is getting 3. So Vegas is essentially saying there's a 6-point difference between these teams. It's a rivalry game, though, and rivalry games are always close. It's at Minnesota. There could be weather stuff. I don't think it's going to affect either team. I think Aaron Rodgers is on a hot streak. If you're betting against Aaron Rodgers, good luck with that.
I don't trust anybody betting against Aaron Rodgers right now. That's all I got to say about it. I go Green Bay. After what he did to Dallas, I'm going Green Bay.
With an injured Sam Bradford, the Vikings showed against the Bears that if they don't have a healthy Sam Bradford, it's really hard for them to score, especially with Dalvin Cook going down with a torn ACL 2 weeks ago. I don't see Minnesota being in this game longer than the first quarter, to be honest with you.
Should have lost to the Bears, to be honest.
Should have. We'll get to that too.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So last game we're picking another home dog. Tampa is at Arizona, and Arizona is given 2 points. So that means Vegas thinks Tampa is 5 points better than Arizona. And I think Arizona would be a sneaky pick here. For those of you who are betting, anytime a team travels very far west to east or east to west, traditionally that does affect their play. And Tampa is going all the way to Arizona. And I like Jameis Winston. I like that offense, but they're incredibly inconsistent. And I really don't think they're hitting their potential this year. I think they need another year to gel with Deshaun Jackson and Mike Evans. So I really think Arizona is a savvy pick here. You're getting points. They're at home. And Larry Fitzgerald is bound to have one game where he just wins it by himself. And this could be the game.
Okay. Like you said, that is tricky when you're taking a team literally from as east as you can get, going all the way to Arizona. Jameis Winston, great game last week. That offense was really clicking last week. But like you said, they have been consistent. Jameis lighted up one week, looked like he's never played football the next week. So I don't really know, because I'm not sold on Arizona in any way. I think Tampa Bay has playmakers that are better than Arizona. But like you said, Larry Fitzgerald could get off. You never know, Carson Palmer. But honestly, I think it goes down to Arizona's front four. Like, what are they going to do to really fluster Jameis? But I think I'm going to go with Tampa Bay. I think they can put 2 good weeks together. So I'm going to go Tampa Bay in Arizona.
I agree with everything both of you just said. I'm going Tampa Bay by a touchdown.
Okay.
All right,
I was
very
going to
good.
go 3.
All right, yeah. So
I think the touchdown pushed it. I don't know.
So let's organize the bets. What do you think out of all the bets would be your gold medal podium bet, the one that you think is the lock of the week?
Lock?
I think the lock of the week for me is Green Bay at Minnesota. I don't think there's any shot that the Vikings have, even with they have a really amazing defense led by Everson Griffin. They have Harrison Smith as their free safety, but you can't stop Aaron Rodgers, and they can't score right now without Dalvin Cook and even with Case Keenum, who had a good week a couple weeks ago, and with Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs. I just don't think it happens for him.
Yeah. Green Bay is my lock for sure. With the way Aaron Rodgers is playing right now, I'll put it this way. I don't see them losing a divisional game the rest of the season.
I agree. I think that's the lock. Although the Panthers versus the Eagles, I really believe in the Panthers against the Eagles. I think it's a good matchup, and I might be.
Put 5 on it.
Okay. Even though you don't have 5, I'll do that.
Whoa! I got 5.
You don't ever have 5 when I'm asking hey, do you got stuff?
I definitely got 5.
All right.
I definitely got 5. You're gonna make a crazy bet like that.
All right, I'm excited to take that 5.
All right, cool.
So I appreciate
Carson Wentz, you better give me this $5.
All right, so that was our gold medal. So for the so let's move on. We're gonna have the fantasy podium. This is the podium of 3 people who are available to get and who we think will be really good picks for this week. We're not going to choose your typical Kareem Hunt or Aaron Rodgers or Alex Smith. We're going to pick someone you can get right now, today.
Pick off waivers.
And I think all started off, Russell mentioned this, Eric Ebron has been an absolute disappointment, but the Lions have found somebody in Darren Fells. Got 2 touchdowns last week. Actually looked like a tight end who wanted to block people, hit people, and get hit, which is something the Lions haven't had in a long time. They've had the tight ends with the alligator arms, these finesse tight ends who want to catch balls but don't want to get hit. And I think this Darren Fells guy, he is the real deal. He seemed to have a nice connection with Stafford. I think you pick him up and you'll have a nice tight end pickup.
Okay. I'm going to go Lamar Miller, running back for the Texans. I think he's had some 80, 90-yard games this season, but I think with Deshaun Watson really picking it up and spreading the field and everything like that, I think it's going to open up running lanes for him. And I think they're playing the Browns this week. I think that speaks for itself. I think that definitely speaks for itself. And Lamar Miller, talented guy, 4.4 speed, can get up and go, runs down. He's a downhill runner, and I think he can be a 100-yard plus rusher this week against the Browns.
I'm on the same wavelength as Niles. I'm going to take Lamar Miller's brother from another mother, Zach Miller. Tight end. Zach Miller led the Bears in targets last on Monday with first-year quarterback Mr. Trubisky in his first start. They seem to have a nice chemistry, and they did during the preseason as well. So I see Zach Miller having a really good game, especially if you're in a PPR league. Zach Miller would be a really valuable flex pickup this week.
He's gonna get a lot of touches.
All right, so who should be on the gold medal for the fantasy podium today? Who do you think is the best pick?
I'd probably go Zach Miller. I feel like he's gonna get a lot of touches this week.
Yeah, I think you made a good point. Points per reception leagues, he's a very valuable choice. That's a good pick. All right, so now we are going to move on to our main stories of the week. We think these are the biggest, best stories, and then we organize them bronze, silver, and gold. And we talk most about the gold medal stories. We think those are the biggest stories of the week. So let's start this off. Russell, what is your bronze medal podium story for this week?
Bronze medal story for me this week in the NFL. Two of the biggest and brightest stars in the NFL going down for the season with very significant injuries. Let's start off with Odell Beckham Jr., who, as we saw, took a very gruesome hit in the Giants game on Sunday, broke his ankle, and is done for the season. Had surgery today, actually. And then J.J. Watt, defensive end for the Houston Texans, had a tibial break, and he's also out for the season. He'll have surgery later this week. But it's really sad to see two of the brightest stars in the NFL going down like that because, the NFL doesn't have – there's a ton of people that you can say, all right, he's a star, he's a star, he's a star. But those two guys, you see their faces everywhere.
Their faces in the league.
Huge endorsements, and they are, like you said, the faces of the league. So it's really sad to see those guys going down this week.
Seriously.
Not only did J.J. Watt go down, but All-Pro Merciless also went down, and he's not as well known, but he is so vital. And Deshaun Watson was really revitalizing the Texans. It's really a shame, especially with what they're going through. This was about to be an amazing story.
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson really galvanizing the city, and now without that defense, I think they're going to regress a little bit to the mean here and not do as well as they were. Yeah. It's a shame because a rookie quarterback who is that good, he needs all the help he can get, and now they lost two of the best defensive players in the league.
Yeah, Deshaun Watson is definitely in kind of like a position kind of like Dak was last year with a good squad around him to bring that out. And I think with J.J. Watt being out, that's really going to hurt. I mean, J.J. Watt is literally like the heart and soul of that team, face of the Texans, makes the most money for a reason.
Raised $30 million.
Raised $30 million. I mean, he's such a good guy and he's such a great player. I hate to. It seems like he's hurt all the time, and I hate seeing a guy like J.J. Watt go down because he's a guy you can't game plan for almost. It's just like, and when you do, that opens up so many opportunities for other people on that defense, on that front four. So that's gonna suck for the Texans. I mean, you're losing basically. Just a big part of your defense right there. And then just with the Giants, I mean, how could their situation get any worse? Like, you couldn't write this right now. I mean, were they 0-5?
Yeah.
0-5 right now. Eli not playing that well, and your best receiver goes down. I think Sterling Shepard, a receiver I really like, just got injured as well. That's why T.O. and Ocho Cinco tweeted the Giants like, y'all need any help, But it's the Giants, this has just been a bad start. 0-5, Odell gets hurt. I mean, Odell Beckham just brings so much flavor and fun to the league with the dances and his catches and everything. And that's gonna just something with everything going on in the NFL right now. That's just something we'd like to see. So best of luck to Odell and JJ in their recoveries, hopefully.
Well, good thing the NFL isn't going through like a massive PR problem right now. They've never been at a better place, so they can handle it. I want to ask you to. This is the elephant in the room for me. I think both Odell and JJ, this isn't even their first injury. It's the same. It's like a recurring injury. Yeah. Will they return at the level they were once at? Because it becomes a question. It becomes a question. And can they stay on the field? So, Russell, I'll go to you first because you know the most about this.
I think both of them will be fine. It's really hard to say that, especially when it comes to a guy like Odell Beckham. A speed guy has always been a burner and uses speed to his advantage. But I think I've never thought the Giants were one of those teams where, like, all right, they have a history of guys who constantly get hurt. Yeah. And usually Bones, once they set them, they'll be pretty much fine. He'll have the best, recovery and training and medical staff to get him back out there. But I think Odell will be fine. He's one of those dudes that, like, nothing will stop him from being great. J.J. Watt, same thing. That dude is he's the actual Incredible Hulk, I think.
Yeah. Seriously.
And he's one of those dudes that benches like 600 pounds and squats the same thing. So I don't see anything stopping those two dudes. The one thing I will say, I don't want them to try to hurry back so fast to come back next season.
Right.
That would be something that would slow their recovery. So because a lot of guys, they want to get back there out there, they want to prove that they can be the same player, and sometimes that gets in the way of their recovery. So I hope they take their time, and I hope they come back, just as good. But I think they will.
Yeah, the NFL needs them.
All right, so moving on to Niles' bronze medal podium topic. What do you got for us?
Let's stop talking about football. Let's talk about a little football, or as one of my friends that played soccer at my school, Taylor, she called it footy. We're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
The U.S. men's nationals team does not make the World Cup. It's just crazy. It's crazy how everybody's just making such a huge deal about this, and no one talks about the other U.S. soccer team we have is literally like the best in the world, the women's team.
That's a great
shocker that no one talks about the women's team, right?
But who gets paid more?
I think the men's team actually gets paid
more.
more.
By a lot.
By a lot, yeah. And that's been an issue in the news over the last year or so. It's just like both clubs should be equally paid. I mean, I don't know how many World Cups the women's team's won in a row, but it's been a few, right?
They've won a few in a row. They kind of go back and forth with it, but they are dominant. And compared to the men's team, who can't even beat Trinidad and Tobago, I know you're trying to compete against two islands, but come on,
Trinidad.
It's not it. And I don't know if you guys know this, but Tobago is just the resort island.
Oh, okay.
So only people who have the boats live there. So you're really only going against Trinidad, and you still got your ass handed to you by Trinidad.
Shout out to the fellow comedian homie Simone Alexander. Her family's from Trinidad. Yeah, shout out to her. But yeah, but it's just where do we go up from here? Because with America, it's we're supposed to have the best athletes. We're so good at everything across the board, but it's just men's soccer, we consistently fail. And when you look at countries like Portugal and Argentina that are not even a tenth of how large our country is, but they're putting out these amazing squads on the soccer field, but it's just all our best athletes want to play football and basketball. And so with Portugal, you see guys like Cristiano Ronaldo, they're being groomed to play soccer from them being this big, whereas our LeBrons and Adrian Petersons and Odell Beckhams are playing football and basketball. And I don't know if you guys seen the video. Odell was nasty at soccer. He was actually on the U.S. men's under 16 team or something like that.
Ochocinco.
Yeah, Ochocinco as well. But it's just that. And I was reading today where when a U.S. soccer team doesn't make a world event like that, it really hurts what we can do with the MLS and TV contracts and things like that, because it makes us seem weak. And so, why would a player from overseas want to come play over here? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So the money in soccer, I think, is going to start to dwindle if the program doesn't start to get better, and I think it's going to have to start on the club level, the youth levels. And if you guys see it, I've seen this with Chicago as well. A lot of these soccer clubs, it's too expensive to get in, and it's just so a lot of kids that might be good at soccer aren't even getting the opportunities to play. I know. Back where I'm from, it's $1,500 to $2,000 just to play on one of those premier travel teams.
Yeah, they call it the pay-to-play system, and they really think it weeds out the best because if you look at Lionel Messi, Ronaldo, these were not affluent kids.
No, they had sponsors. There's people that took care of them and put them in these positions. But our poor kids are at playgrounds playing basketball or strapping on a helmet. So.
Yeah, and did any of you guys play soccer growing up?
I did.
Did you, Russell?
I did. I played so I got to high school, actually.
Oh, I'm surprised. I think so. All three of us played. I played over 10 years, and if you watch the actual game itself, I think a lot of people were like, "Oh, Tim Howard this, Tim Howard that." The defense was porous.
Yeah.
I mean, I counted when I watched the highlights. There were over 10 scoring opportunities.
Yeah.
And that's not Tim Howard's fault. And he had 4 or 5, maybe even 6 really good stops. This could have been a blowout.
Yeah.
Our defense was so bad. He actually did a really good job, and we still had a rough time. I think we only squandered maybe 1 or 2 scoring opportunities, but they squandered a lot more. And we have, and let me mention this: Tim Howard, one of the best goalies in the world. We that's the first piece you need, and we have one of the best, and we still can't get anything else. Pulisic scored a goal, but he was underwhelming. Yedlin didn't do much, and it is. I think it's something fundamentally from the ground up. We need to change how we approach it.
Because look at the way they do USA boys basketball. It's crazy. Kids playing on these USA basketball teams 15, 16 years old, and you already know that kid's going to the NBA, but they're already in that USA farm system.
Yeah.
I think one of the one thing for me, the sad part is after the last World Cup, especially after the women won it, there was a really big movement towards soccer. People, towards World Cup time, you get people who are interested in soccer. Yeah. But there was actually a movement of people who were really interested in soccer. The MLS had a big boost in their following, and now you get something like this, and it does really affect how people look at you going forward, because it's just like, all right, we had all this, we had MLS, we had better players from overseas coming over. I know us here in Chicago, we got Bastian Schweinsteiger on the fire, and then you get a player like that. That's amazing for the MLS, but when you do that and then you don't make a World Cup, it's bad, and it doesn't make players want to come to the United States, even for MLS.
I think we've all agreed it really is going to have to start at the bottom and get that interest level up. But, to be honest, I'm interested in soccer sometimes, and like Russell said, when the World Cup comes around, I get more interested. I remember one World Cup, I faked like I like soccer to get this girl, because I really liked her, and she really liked soccer. So I was like, yeah, I'm watching the game. I was watching movies, and I was Googling the World Cup scores and everything, so I could be talking soccer, bro. I was Googling soccer terms. I was doing all this dumb stuff because I just really liked her. I wanted her to know I knew soccer, but I didn't.
Listen, bro, you like that sometimes,
bro. But here's the thing. I started playing FIFA. I started watching soccer, and now I love it because of that chick. I didn't get with her, but I love soccer now. So
chicks who like soccer guys are the chicks who like toned muscle guys, but not a lot. They like they like that skinny. Yeah, it's it's a good move. It's a good move.
Maybe we might have to get some funding and start a little U.S. soccer club in the hood somewhere. Get some Jeromes and Devontaes out there kicking the ball.
That's really what it.
Stop practicing that crossover. Let's do some rainbows.
That's really what we need. We need a Russell Westbrook to play soccer.
Think if Russell Westbrook was playing forward for U.S. soccer team, I'd get out of the way. That's not.
He would be so scared.
He's built like a running back.
Yeah, that's really all we need.
Yeah, man.
All right, well, I'm gonna move on to my bronze medal podium topic. My favorite team of my youth, the Dolphins, their offensive line coach, he resigned after posting a video online of him snorting 3 really pathetically thin lines of cocaine.
Yeah. He didn't even go hard. I was hey, you're gonna get suspended. At least go hard, my G.
He was really cliche too. He had the dollar bill. Sorry, Russell, what were you gonna say?
No, I was just he didn't even, if you're going to get caught on video, at least go out with a bang. This man had the little bitty.
Right, I wanted a Wolf of Wall Street line. I wanted the Jordan Belfort Wolf of Wall Street line.
Yeah,
come on.
He wasn't Scarface, but he was say hello to my little line.
Right.
Because it's all he had was this teeny little bit of cocaine. It was really sad. He's one of the highest paid assistant coaches in the NFL.
Not anymore.
He used to be paid $2.5 million a year to coach fat guys. And I think that's just so impressive. And first of all, as a Dolphins fan, I must say, if you've got cocaine in the building, how about you give it to the quarterback who looks like he's falling asleep every goddamn game that I watch? I literally had one time Jay Cutler was standing with his hands on his hips during a Wildcat play. How about you give him a little, and maybe he'll, run. Maybe he'll throw. Maybe he'll see that there are people open, like Jarvis Landry, who has a mohawk that's blonde and you're still missing him. What are you doing?
Listen, Eric, you gotta let that one go, baby. Because the Dolphins not doing nothing anytime with this coach. I don't understand. You know, people are messed up. People have their own things. But you're making $2.5 million. And you're going to put send a video to a stripper doing blow, and think that this stripper, who not making $2.5 million,
right,
not going to send it to somebody to make a little bit of money. Like, I don't see. You got to know.
He was high.
Do's and don'ts. I mean, I guess he was high, but he's also dumb. Dumb people, you shouldn't get high in general, depending on how you feel, but dumb people especially. Because you do dumb stuff like that and send it out, and then it gets all over the country and all over Twitter, and then you get fired. And now you're not making $2.5 million no more.
I just don't see how you don't snort illegal stuff for $2.5 million. I'll start eating watermelon for $2.5 million. Like, I love watermelon. If somebody said
your face, Russell.
If somebody said you can't eat watermelon for $2.5 million, I said I don't even know what a watermelon is, nigga. Like, I'll stop. It's just like. And it's crazy that this black female stripper, she put it out because she was saying how everybody was dogging these minority athletes, so that she wanted to see what they would do about this white coach snorting drugs. So hey, sisters always holding us down, dog. It's the sisters always holding us down. Black women, shout out to y'all. She's the reason this got to the public. So shout out to her.
He's a line coach, but ironically, he needed a coach on how to do lines.
Exactly.
Because it was just really thin, really sad. You know, it's a shame though, but I'm sure he'll have many opportunities where he'll make $2.5 million.
Oh, he'll get back in the league. I was reading something the other day. Who gets back in the league? Him or Kaepernick?
Oh well, yeah. See, exactly. Unfortunately, yeah. He could have snorted Peru, and he still would have.
Exactly.
He still would have. Yeah. But all right, let's move on to our silver medal topics. Russell, do you want to take us first here with your silver medal topic?
Yeah, my silver medal topic for this week is the quarterback play of the rookie quarterbacks in the league right now. You had three of them that have been playing: Deshaun Watson, Mitch Trubisky, and Deshaun Kizer.
Yeah.
Now, let's start with Deshaun Watson. This dude's been tearing it up. Even though the Texans have been on a slight decline the last couple of weeks, Deshaun Watson in the Texans game against the Chiefs went 16 for 31, which isn't a really great percentage, no. But he went for 261, 5 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. And if you watch that game, Deshaun Watson, a lot of people wanted to question his arm strength, especially down the field past 30 yards. He ripped some balls 30, 40, even 50 yards to Nuke Hopkins, who really for the last couple of years was like, please, just give me a dude that can make one pass a game.
Right.
Let alone 5 touchdown passes. So
right.
I think, look at Deshaun Watson overall. 62% for the season, over 1,000 yards right now through 5 games, 12 touchdowns and just 4 interceptions. That's a really good season so far. And it looks like the league hasn't gotten too fast for him. He's making plays. He's doing his checkdowns. And he's not making repeatable mistakes. One of the things you look at as far as rookie quarterbacks, do they repeat their mistakes or do they learn it from the first time? And he's looking like he's been able to not repeat those mistakes and have been able to learn from them each week. So that's really good. We move to Mitchell Trubisky, the first quarterback taken in the draft. Mike Lennon, as we talked about last week, was terrible. Trubisky is now the starter for the Bears and had his first NFL start against the Vikings on Monday. And while the Bears didn't win, he was pretty passable for his first time out. Made some absolutely terrific throws. Throws on the run, throws in the pocket, moved his feet, made plays. And honestly, if you look at the line, 12-25, 128 yards, a touchdown, and a pick.
Yeah.
The line doesn't look great, but a lot of those throws were to horrible receivers who dropped the ball. Yeah. Penalties killed them because 2 of his best throws he made on the night were great throws on the run that got called back on penalties. Right? And then the one interception he made, it wasn't a bad one. It was a rookie interception. He thought he had Zach Miller open. And if you go back and look at the play, Zach Miller was open. There was green grass in front of him on the last drive of the game for the Bears that could have won from the game. But Harrison Smith, an all-pro safety, has been great since he came out of Notre Dame, jumped the route. And great safeties are going to bait quarterbacks, especially young quarterbacks, all the time. Right. So hopefully he'll be able to learn from that mistake and have some good weeks for the Bears coming up here in the next couple of weeks. The one sad part about the quarterbacks this year, for me, as far as these guys go, Deshaun Kizer, who had been the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns since week 1, got benched this week for Kevin Hogan. Now, my thing is, when you're going to start a rookie quarterback, you need to know that they're going to make a lot of mistakes. And Deshaun Kizer was making a lot of mistakes. Yeah. And like we talked about a couple of minutes ago, he was repeating some of those mistakes. However, when you're starting a rookie quarterback, you know some of these things are going to happen, and you have to be able to deal with those lumps.
Right.
And Cleveland got happy feet, and we're like, I really don't know. We had bad quarterbacks since 1999. Let's just go ahead and make a change, because that's what we do when things get tough. We make a quarterback change. And started Kevin Hogan, who, he played all right, but at the same time, Deshaun Kizer is your quarterback of the future, not Kevin Hogan. Yeah. Kizer, you look at his numbers, 47% completion rating, just 3 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. He was on pace to break Peyton Manning's interception record. But at the same time, Peyton Manning had 28 interceptions his rookie year, ended up being one of the greatest of all time. I always love to go back to Aaron Rodgers sat, and he's going to be one of the greatest quarterbacks of all times. I'll put it to you like this. Eric, what size shoe do you wear, sir?
What size what?
What size shoe do you wear?
I wear a 10 because I'm surprising.
You wear a 10, right? Now, what size shoe do you wear?
11.
You wear an 11. You guys wear a 10 and 11. I wear a 13. So that's like one of you guys taking one of my shoes and saying, I can wear Russell's shoes. No, you can't, because everything doesn't work for everybody.
Hey, man, I got women watching this show, bro. Don't be
bro, I'm not trying to put you out there.
Hey, dude, I got girls watching this. Don't be playing my shoe size over here.
People like to put everybody in different boxes. They like to say, well, this worked for one guy, let's make it work for this guy.
Right.
Life doesn't work like that, and football definitely doesn't work like that.
Right.
Everybody can't beat Dak Prescott and go all these weeks without throwing an interception or making a turnover. Yeah. Everybody can't be Aaron Rodgers and go 3 years and come out setting the world on fire for the next 10. Right. Like, things like that don't happen.
Right.
So, especially when it comes to these young quarterbacks, it takes time, it takes patience, it takes organization saying, you know what, go out and make every mistake you can, because you're going to be better for it in the future.
True. And with Kizer, I wasn't even completely sold on him when he was at Notre Dame. So it's just like, he needs some time. And with Dak Prescott's situation was so just unique. I don't want to talk down his talent. I think he's a very talented player. He's very good. But he also inherited a great offensive line and a running back who's going to be an all-pro for probably the rest of his career, and Ezekiel Elliott, barring injury and things like that, and Des Bryant. So it's just like Deshaun Kizer has none of that. The Browns don't have a good receiving core.
They have one offensive lineman who's going to the Hall of Fame,
exactly.
And that's it, Joe Thomas.
One. And so it's just like, I don't even really like the coaching that the Browns have been doing. So he's kind of inherited a crappy situation. So and with putting Kevin Hogan in, I don't really understand, because with the position Cleveland's in right now, you're not winning. So what is changing Kevin Hogan for Deshaun Kizer gonna do for your team? Lose better? I just don't.
But that's why they're the Browns. Yeah. That's why they're always the sad story in the situation.
They need a regime change.
At some point, you have to. That can't be the excuse. We're the Browns.
Yeah.
Well, there's next year. We'll have a top 5 pick.
Because when Myles Garrett is ready to sign another contract,
you're going to end up in the Cubs and be championship-less for 100 years before somebody gets it right.
Exactly.
But with the Cubs, they had a GM come in and change their whole culture.
They need a regime change, man. They might need to change the mascot, the city, something.
The whole team was doomed from the whole start. The fact that the team is named the Browns because the guy's name is Art Brown.
That just sounds
that's a...
Honestly, if you say I play for the Cleveland Browns, that just sounds yeah, man, I'm about to get my ass kicked. That just don't.
Yeah, notice how everyone...
That's not intimidating, nigga.
Everyone wants Colin Kaepernick to be in the NFL, except for if it was on the Cleveland Browns. No one has ever... I don't care how much Black Lives Matter you are. You're like, no, don't put him on the Cleveland Browns. I'd rather him play in the Canadian Football League.
Exactly.
Because we care about Colin Kaepernick. We don't want him to die.
Exactly.
And that's why we don't want him to be on the Cleveland Browns. And so with Deshaun Kizer, he's actually a pretty decent option. And the reason they're the Cleveland Browns is instead of building this kid up, putting some trust in him, and then, trying to see what he could do, they're doing what they always do, which is have him look over his shoulder and wonder, is this the week I'm going to get benched?
Yeah,
and then guess what? You press and you make decisions that you normally wouldn't make because you're trying to maintain your job.
Right.
And that's why they're the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, man. It's a rotating door in Cleveland at the quarterback position.
But Russell, the one thing, I think Russell's so intelligent, and I think he knows the sport so much, but when it comes to Chicago, I feel like he gets a little emotional.
I think he's a homer, guys.
No, I feel like, because, look at Trubisky. How many picks did they trade for this guy when you could have just taken Deshaun Watson, who looks like the next coming of Tom Brady? Why do you really think Trubisky is...
He got his head down. He said, don't come for me. Okay? Hey,
right? All right, first of all, I need you guys to calm down.
Your best to Chicago guys, man.
First of all, if Erica, we didn't know each other at the draft, you would have known that I was just as critical as the Bears of the Bears.
He was.
You're being with me right now.
He was.
For trading those picks.
Okay.
Yes, I agree. They could have gotten those same player. They could have got Trubisky at 3 because the 49ers weren't going to take him at 2.
No.
All right, so I agree with you. That's not the move they should have made. However, there's something to be said for any organization, it just happened to be the Bears this time. But I respect somebody identifying a player in their draft research and they're like, all right, this dude is the best player in this draft. Yeah. And I don't care what anybody says, and I don't care what anybody says about me a week from now or a year from now, this guy is going to be our franchise-changing player, right? So if you do that, you're going to have to live with all the criticism.
Right.
And I think Ryan Pace, who's the GM of the Bears, is doing that. You know what I'm saying? So
I think Mitch Trubisky is going to be a decent quarterback, man. I like what I saw from him on Sunday. I like because they were kind of throwing a lamb out there, but I think he did. I think he did what he had to do. I think they could have won the game if the defense had stepped up in the fourth quarter. So a lot of guys, like you said, drop passes. No receiving core in Chicago with Kevin White down again. So I think Mitch could probably be a pretty good quarterback when he goes to a different team. So.
Hey.
You thought I was on your side.
I'm probably the most critical of the Chicago Bears.
Yeah,
and that's
he's
what I'm
pretty
saying.
critical of the Bears. I gotta give it to him. He's pretty critical.
I'm saying the emotion clouds your normally very clear.
I know some Bears fans that are very how would you say it? I can't think of the word.
Oh well,
Homer.
thank you.
Yeah, Homer. Russ is pretty critical of the Bears.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I really don't know.
I feel like you have something against Trubisky.
I know it's just
a lot of people
okay.
do.
In a vacuum, Trubisky is fine, but when you include the picks and then you include the fact that a guy 10 picks later, Deshaun Watson, is lighting up the world right now, and you pick Trubisky, who his only ability is he can kind of roll out quickly. That's what I saw.
He's got a good arm.
Listen. Here's the thing with Trubisky. He only played 13 games in college, and Deshaun Watson played 4 years in college and went to 2 national championships and won one.
Yeah.
Hindsight is always 20/20. Right. And the thing with Deshaun Watson, they're both rookies. Trubisky will always be held to a higher standard because he was the first quarterback taken in this draft.
Exactly.
Deshaun Watson might suck eventually, and Trubisky might turn into Aaron Rodgers. He might turn into David Carr and be a terrible quarterback in the NFL. But it would be really bad of us as fans of the NFL, as journalists, as whatever, to criticize it right now just because Deshaun Watson set the world on fire. You know what I'm saying?
Because I think this Deshaun Watson hype is going to stop pretty soon with no defense. So it's just, we don't know.
And Russell meant David Carr, not Derek Carr, but I'm sure
he said
he said okay. Well, I'm sure even their mom.
I would have checked him quick. I love Derek Carr. I would have checked
him. Ironically enough.
Yeah.
Good point. Yeah, but let's just end it with this. Deshaun Watson, to me, rookie. To me, he's the rookie of the year because I know what Kareem Hunt's doing, but Deshaun Watson's leading a team. He's leading a team that normally has never had this level of success, and they look like a real organization.
I see Kareem Hunt going to the divisional round of the playoffs, though. That's the thing. And
Kareem Hunt should probably be the MVP, though.
If
he win MVP, he automatically win
rookie of the year.
Offensive rookie of the year.
Yeah.
I see Kareem Hunt doing it because I think Kareem Hunt this is going to be a consistent. In fact, I think we haven't even seen the best of Kareem Hunt yet. Whereas Deshaun Watson, I think, it's going to decline a little
We say driving, you're driving a deadly weapon, right?
Exactly.
You have training, regulations, you have to recertify your training by getting a driver's license. At the very least, guns should be treated like cars. I want it to be more than that, but let's start with that. Let's treat guns like cars, have proper training, regulate. We need all of that, and we really don't.
I think guns should be treated like AIDS. Like we're trying to get rid of it. I want
That's what it look like this nigga been doing all day in them raggedy ass pants taking a knee.
Hey, you know what David just did there? He broke the fourth wall. But usually when he does that, he goes, "Oh yeah!"
And we're back. We thank you for that commercial break. We got Niles and Russell. All right, so Niles, what is your silver medal topic today?
We're going to go to the NBA, talk about two lineups specifically. The Cleveland Cavaliers have decided to start Dwyane Wade over J.R. Smith at the 2 guard. It's been reported J.R. is a little frustrated with this decision. And also the Lakers, I think this is a good problem to have. Kyle Kuzma, who has just played great throughout the preseason and summer league. I love Lonzo Ball, but I think Kyle is the best Lakers prospect right now. But they're trying to decide if he's gonna be a starter, he's gonna be a reserve. What is his role on the team gonna be? I think he should start at the 3 over Brandon Ingram because I don't think Brandon Ingram's really proved to that number 2 pick level so far. But Kyle Kuzma taking 27th out of Utah, I think has proved himself tremendously. And Cleveland, I'm not really sure if I'm sold on D Wade starting. Dwyane Wade's one of my favorite players. Love him to death. I think he should come off the bench, especially with the injuries that he's gone through these last couple seasons and just fatigue and all this kind of stuff. Because the way I see it, the Cavs are going to the finals. I think we can all agree on that, right?
Yeah.
I want a healthy Cavs team with Isaiah Thomas and Dwyane Wade ready to go come May and June. You know what I'm saying? So I think Dwyane Wade starting throughout this season might combat that. So I think he should be on the second unit.
I think for me, I'm gonna start with the Lakers. I think Kyle Kuzma is probably the best. Like you said, I wouldn't say the best. I'd say the most exciting.
Okay.
Especially for right now, Lakers prospect. And you look at rebuilds, especially in any sport, but especially in the NBA, because they're so. If you look at the 76ers, it's always hit or miss.
Yeah.
And so when you're rebuilding in the NBA, you're gonna have to hit on your lottery picks. You're going to have to hit on those, but you're also going to have to find some diamonds in the rough and hit on those too. And I think Kyle Kuzma, as a second-round pick, is that diamond in the rough. Yeah. So I think that's really good for them. People thought Brandon Ingram, because he was 6'9" and lanky and skinny and could kind of shoot in college, that he turned into Kevin Durant, but that has not been the case so far. He's struggled to put on weight. He's struggled to find a shot in the NBA, and it really hasn't happened for him. I think he's still a young player. He's only 20 years old.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of time for Brandon Ingram to be a really good player. Right. But I think Kyle Kuzma has earned that right to start. I think Luke Walton will put him in the position, both of them in the best positions to get as much as he can out of them. And I think Kuzma is a tick for J.R. Smith, and he might be better because of it.
Okay, I feel you. And I think with JR, it's like, man, y'all paying me $15 million to come off the bench. Like, come on. And I think that's one thing that factors in. But like you said, I see what you're saying with D-Wade, 25 minutes a game. I honestly would like to see him play less because he's 36. Like, he...
Yeah. Well, you look at D-Wade, Derrick Rose, J.R. Smith, I mean...
Honestly, I'd rather be doing this thing, this is fun.
Oh, that's so sweet. All right, and we're back from commercial with Niles and Russell and Eric on the podium. So, as far as the silver medal topic goes, I'm a little biased. I'm a University of Utah graduate. I watched Kyle Kuzma go through the whole system, and I really think what makes him most valuable is he does all the little things that most NBA players don't do. Mm-hmm. And, Brandon Ingram, he's really good on offense, but that's all you get, whereas you're more getting an Avery Bradley type where you're going to get both ends of the floor, really big contributor on both ends of the floor, and I think that's more valuable. But if Luke Walton is such a smart coach, he'll find a way to use both of them. I don't really feel like they have enough talent on that team where you can't use both of them.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's really a problem with them. As far as the Cavs, it's so injury dependent.
Yeah.
They need to. If I think their talent is so loaded, it's just can they stay on the court? If they can stay on the court, this might be the best Cavs teams they've ever had, including any team that went to the finals. So
I agree.
It's just the potential.
Yeah.
Really, can they reach the potential?
And I think with Kuzma, it'll be kind of like what we saw with Jimmy Butler and Kawhi Leonard, how they developed over a year or two, and they were these late round picks that developed into these great stars. So I think Kuzma's got the body, he's got the athleticism. Like you said, he plays defense, and his 3-point shooting is actually getting better as well, which is really scary. And he can play either the 3 or the 4. So I think he could really be one of those like Paul George, Jimmy Butler type swingman.
Russell made a great point too. The picks that really turn around the franchises are not your number 1 picks, but the late round picks. Like Rudy Gobert was a late round pick for the Jazz, turned them around. Manu Ginobili and Anthony, I think, were more later picks, and I think Manu was like right at the end of the first round.
Yeah.
Those are the picks that changed franchise, and it's just an extra piece for the Lakers. And I really feel like everyone's talking about Lonzo, but Kuzma might be the thing that gets him over the top.
Yeah, and I think their games definitely complement each other, with Lonzo being such a great passer and Kuzma really knowing how to score off the ball and everything like that. So
that's an excellent point. At Utah, we didn't really have a great point guard situation, and he did an excellent job moving off the ball because he had to, and that was a very good review. Notice that, and I really think it translated so well in the NBA because I really feel like enough people don't know how to do that. They're very ball dependent, and he does a good job of finding those cuts, finding those lanes, and then getting the pass. All right, which leads me to my silver medal topic. We're staying in the NBA. Jeremy Lin and Kenyon Martin. I just thought this was a really fun story.
Why you shake your head? You're not feeling the insanity?
Yeah.
Kenyon on full.
What do you think about Kenyon attacking Jeremy Lin for cultural appropriation? What do you think about this?
This is the kind of stuff I studied in school and shit. But I get where Kenyon Martin is going, but that was not the way you call it out, or that is not the way you handle it. There is a lot of, and there's a long history in America of cultural appropriation from the Asian culture and the white culture, from doing things that are stereotypically black. And so a lot of times, the reason why the words cultural appropriation is thrown out there, because there's a lot of things white people and Asian people and other people do that black people do, or they wear a style that black people wear. It's cool or funny when they do it. With us, thug, you're lazy, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So it's just like when you saw Jeremy Lin rocking the dreads and things like that, you can look up every week, there's a story of somebody having to find a lawyer to represent them because they got fired from their job because they said they can't wear dreads at the workplace. People getting profiled for wearing dreads in the workplace. People being profiled just for wearing dreads, whatever. That's how black people, that's how our hair grows, if that's how you choose to wear it. Other people, that's not how y'all's hair grow. So it's just like when you choose to do that, you've gotten that from somebody else's culture. And so, Jeremy Lin, he plays in the NBA. He's around a lot of black guys. He does whatever. I don't really have a problem with him wearing his hair like that, but I do know where Kenyon Martin is coming with the statement. I don't think I would say he's trying to be black or he just wants to be black. I don't think that was a proper way of wording it. But then also Jeremy Lin brought up, bro, you got Chinese symbols tattooed on you. But the thing is, and I study cultural appropriation, but it's a different thing because other people having Chinese lettering and symbols tattooed on them doesn't do anything negatively for Asian people. Whereas where people, when they appropriate black culture and hip-hop culture and things like that, can do things negative for us, where, like I was saying, getting stereotyped and profiled and all these kind of things for just doing things that we normally do throughout the day. So, I get it on both sides. I just think it was kind of dumb in the first place. Kenyon Martin, bro, you playing the big three, nobody's checking for you anyway. So, you know what I'm saying? So, whatever.
I think you guys both got him. I think Jeremy Lin said enough for all of us, because I think he hit the clapback trifecta.
Yeah.
He respected Kenyon Martin by saying, hey, man, you're entitled to your opinion. He said, hey, I had a poster of you on the wall as a kid, and you know what? You have Chinese tattoos, so I really wasn't the same. Also, I think it's very hot calling the kettle black, no pun intended there, and it's very hypocritical of Kenyon Martin, especially when, like, I'll tell you, I know what Niles was saying about the whole appropriation thing and how it kind of only goes one way because of the negative connotation in that way. But I do think when you're going to call somebody out, I think you should really be prepared to know that, hey, maybe I've done maybe the whole Chinese tattoo thing. Maybe he should have thought of that before he went and said what he said about Jeremy Lin. And honestly, I think what it comes down to, sometimes people just haters and they're looking for a reason to hate on somebody.
Yeah.
So I think Kenyon Martin didn't have. I mean, what did he have going on besides Big Three?
You tell me.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I really think, Kenyon Martin just wanted to hate on somebody like brothers be doing sometimes. But, Jeremy Linton's still in the league. He good. I don't really think it's much to worry about.
Right.
Well, the one thing I wanted to, I think you make a really good point. Like I saw something that kind of reminded me of this. BYU's dance team, they had their whole dance routine, and it was clearly they got it from World Star Hip Hop or something. But they have no one black or anything close to a minority on the dance team.
Right.
There's no one even close to that in the stands. Is that more dangerous when you take something but you don't even let them participate? Like BYU wouldn't even let black people in the school in 1978 but we're gonna take your dance routine.
Yeah. I mean, it's what happens all the time. Black culture has been infamously known for being taken, and there's so many people that'll take black culture but still disrespect black people, and so it's just why the rapper Post Malone has been in the news lately. People are mad at him because he said he wouldn't turn down. Well, he didn't say he wouldn't, but he said he'd think about maybe performing at the Trump inauguration and things like that. And people are like, bro, are you serious right now? You've made a career off of what so many black men and black women have created for you to be able to do this and created this culture and this kind of thing. That'd be really disrespectful for you to do something like that. And so it's just there's so many instances in this country. I mean, there's so many different things of where different minorities, their culture will be taken away and they'll still be blocked from being inside of it. You just look at what people wear, they dress up like Native Americans on Halloween and things like that. That's crazy. Or you see white kids in Mexico on spring break wearing for Cinco de Mayo and things like that, wearing the sombreros but chanting "Build that wall" in Mexico.
Yeah.
But you come over here and drink tequila shots and drink Coronas and celebrate Cinco de Mayo so you can drink a bunch, but you're racist. So it's just I get why Kenyon Martin brought it up. But like you said, I think he was just looking for something to get in the headlines with.
All right. I think that's well said. Russell, what's your gold medal topic for this week? What do you think is the biggest sports story of the entire week this week?
It might not be of the entire week right now, but I think as we start to move towards college basketball season, it may become one of the biggest stories of the year.
For sure.
And that's this whole FBI federal investigation and corruption of the NCAA, more specifically universities and shoe companies and their representatives. As we know, Louisville basically fired Rick Pitino after it came out that one of his I don't even know what to call him. Basically, this guy was a glorified babysitter.
Right.
Grad assistant at school, and one of the assistants, and basically got caught trying to. It's basically money laundering, but basically what it is in the landscape of college sports, you have money that comes in from a booster or a shoe company, right? And so then that money comes in. But you can't necessarily take that money from the booster or the shoe company and give it to whatever recruit that you want to give it to. It has to go around so that there's no money trail and it doesn't come back on the university, the coach, the booster, the shoe company, or the recruit, right? So you move it here and you do this and you move it there and you move it there and you move it there. to kind of clean it off and before you give it to the recruit. And they got caught with their hands in the cookie jar. One of the executives at Adidas, same deal. And the crazy part is the NCAA has been corrupt forever.
Since its beginning.
And it's one of those things that really, it's one of those my soapbox topics, you know.
Same.
The NCAA and how people always say, well, it's about the athletes getting an education, and I think they don't need to get paid, and they get paid in education when they get to go to a fine university for 4 years and graduate. No, that's bull. It's always been bull. It's always been about money.
Right.
Can we get the biggest recruits to come from the biggest universities?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And one of the things for me, every school does it.
Yes.
Every school does it.
Yep.
Every school has skeletons in the closet. I went to a small mid-major university like Oral Roberts University. I was the sports editor of the newspaper. People talk to me. You think they don't have skeletons in the closet at a place like Oral Roberts University? And you think Louisville does it?
Not the Christian school.
Come on. So it's really, I think the NCAA is very naive in thinking that people won't start to smell that bull a little bit, you know? And I think schools are very, they're treading lightly right now because the FBI, they're not gonna do an investigation. They're not gonna come after people like this if they don't already have a long, compilation of things on not just one university, but maybe a lot of different universities, a lot of different people in universities across the country.
Right.
In the report, Louisville was listed as University 6.
Wow.
Which means there are 5 other universities and maybe more beyond that being investigated here. And I know their universities, if Louisville, one of the biggest powerhouse basketball schools in the country, maybe UNC, Duke, Arizona, there are a ton of schools that I know their coaches are giving them a little bit of talking to, like, hey, I know we all do this, but we need to start treading very carefully with who we deal with and how we do it. Because every school does it. Louisville just one, had the guy that got caught.
Hey, you know what shoe company hasn't been involved in this? The Triple B's, baby.
Big baller brand.
Big baller brand. We clean over here, baby. We clean. We not in that. Big baller brand. Triple B, baby.
Yeah.
Talk to me.
Yeah, congrats.
The crazy, and my last point, the crazy thing about it is 95% of the issues of, not only pay for play as far as shoe companies in schools or sending recruits to different schools because of the shoe companies or paying recruits to come to a school, all of this could be solved. Maybe 95% could be solved by paying student athletes.
Yep.
You don't have to hide things when you're paying the players.
Exactly.
You don't have to hide things. You don't have to launder money. That's a federal crime, laundering money.
Exactly.
And now I know we've talked about it a lot with people we're not going to say their names, we're not going to put it on blast,
right.
But things like that have to do with garbage bags full of stuff and putting it in different places, football players, basketball players, and then the player who doesn't have a job, doesn't have a car, automatically, I can go out and I can put a down payment on a car, or I can do this, I might be able to do that, I have the money to put my baby mama here, and my parents can pay rent for the next year. Just little things like that we've known about for a while, and it's not just the big schools. Little schools
are doing
are trying. If there was a way for little schools to do it, they would do it too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then people always want to say, well, if you do that, the great recruits are always going to go to the big schools. What are they doing right now?
Right.
Yeah. You think Zion Williamson? You think Zion Williamson go to St. Mary's?
No.
There's no in Kentucky and all these different schools where, look, I'm going to get a full ride scholarship. I won't have to pay.
Right.
But I might get paid.
Yeah. It's true.
And I think, Russell, you make a good point. Just because your favorite college team wasn't on the list doesn't mean if they investigated them, they wouldn't be on the list. And the only teams that are not going to be on the list are the teams that aren't trying to win.
Yeah.
Like,
seriously.
To be fair.
And it's sad. Like, you have to do these things to keep up. I mean, Ole Miss, school in my home state, just got in trouble. Hugh Freeze got fired. Found out they were bringing escorts in and things like that. And I mean, it's just like these are things you have to do to keep a program afloat, because if you're not doing it, the guy across the highway is doing it, and he's gonna get the recruit that you want. And so, I mean, it's just like, I remember Mississippi State got in trouble a couple years ago with the basketball team. I mean, guys, they said they had jobs at the car wash place. They were in the gym putting up shots, but they were on the clock at the dealership. And so it's just like little things like that. And they weren't even that good at basketball when that was going on. So think about what Duke was doing, and UNC, and like all these, Michigan State. Like, you know, it's just like, if you really think some of these guys aren't going to these schools because of incentives, you don't want to know. It's just with just different things changing hands, and with it having gone on for so long, they've got it down to a science these days on how to do things and put stuff in your parents' name. And I've been on recruiting trips. I've seen stuff and I've heard stuff that I can't talk about. So it's just like you know, it's just, that's the way it is. I wish it wasn't like that. I'm a huge advocate for college athletes being paid. I think the NCAA is quite the evil organization, to be honest. They tout around as like a non-profit, but they're profiting off of anything and everything. You know, you can't make money off your own likeness, can't make money off yourself, can't promote yourself in any way. They literally own you as an entity, and you can't make money off of that. But they're making hundreds of $millions every year off athletes, and so that's why I feel like it's a little hypocritical to come down on these schools that are still trying to win, but they know they have to do these illegal things because of the rules that the NCAA set in place. And yeah, if you did pay the athletes, of course, there's going to be some dirty. Sports is a dirty business. It's just like politics. There's always going to be, but like Russ said, when you pay these athletes, I think those instances will cut down.
Yeah, if you just look at NCAA basketball, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry every single year.
Every year.
There is a theme song to the March Madness tournament, and that guy is getting paid, but the players aren't getting paid.
Right.
It's sponsored by Pepsi. The players can't afford a freaking Pepsi.
Exactly.
And like you said, if all this would change if they just paid the players, but because they're not, you have the Louisville athletic trainer using his wife as the escort that's being passed around between the players. First of all, big ups to you. You're a big fan of Louisville. You're a huge fan of Louisville. I am not that big of a fan of Utah to have my girl passed around all these players. I mean, go Cardinals. Wow.
Took one for the team.
Yeah, it took more than one for the team, apparently.
He was on some other stuff.
We're
not even gonna ask. You can catch the fan even ask.
Right. We could talk all day. The NCAA is just so it's always in the wrong. Just you can even look at with them being a nonprofit, they don't have to disclose how much their board of governors makes per year, and the president they don't have to disclose those numbers if they don't want to. They don't have to. They can get donations. They're a nonprofit.
Yeah.
So you think there's not some things under the table going on where people are donating money to the NCAA and things like that for tax write-offs that they don't have to talk about? It's a very dirty business.
All right.
I think we're going to feel the ripple effects of this right up until and through the NCAA season, because I think there's some big universities that, like I'm telling you guys, are preparing for a very big type of investigation. Louisville's just the one that happens to always get caught in these things.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of universities are getting prepared for when everybody is on notice.
Yeah.
I think everybody's on notice now, but I think there's going to be a moment where everybody's going to have a little bit in the news about themselves.
And I think the players are about to have a little more leverage, because honestly, it's like, what's stopping some of these guys from snitching? Like, these NCAA violations, at the end of the day, don't really affect them. Like, that affects the school. So it's just like, coach treating me wrong, or I'm not getting certain things. Like, what's stopping a guy from being like, hey, they're paying these people? So it's just like, well, it's going to be interesting to see, like you said, this upcoming NCAA basketball season. All these coaches make so much money off these shoe contracts. It's crazy. Players ain't getting nothing. So.
Yeah, and we can hear us saying this, like, coaches are allowed to move without penalty. Players are not allowed to do anything without penalty, and it's a shame.
Right.
And I do think you're right, Russell. Maybe that wasn't the biggest sports story of the week per se, but it might be the biggest developing story of the year. It might develop into something massive. So I agree, Russell. Great choice.
Plantation might get broken up.
Exactly. So on that note, Niles, what's your gold medal topic of the week? What do you think is the biggest sports story of the year? Of the week?
Something that came to my attention. He was one of my favorite players when he was on the field. Josh Gordon, former receiver for the Browns, he's announced he's trying to make a comeback. He said he's a new person. He said he's doing things differently now, which I don't know what that means. But he wants to make a comeback, and he wants to come back to the league. I want to see JG in the league again. You're talking, if he had stayed in the league these last 3-4 seasons, we could be talking he's the best receiver in the NFL right now. 1,200 yards playing for the Browns. He had 3-4 different quarterbacks that season. He just was amazing. But of course, he kept getting in trouble for the same marijuana offenses and the drug clauses in his contract and things in the NFL, those violations. And he kept messing up. It's just like one after another. And you can't say this guy didn't get a second chance already. So this is like his 86th chance. So I hope he gets it. But it's just it'll be interesting, I think, what we see with the NFL with marijuana laws changing throughout the country. It'll be interesting to see what the league does with that, with what do they expect from players, what is protocol, and that kind of thing. Because some of these guys play in states where marijuana is legal if you're over 21. So it's just as a league, can you really bar them from being able to do that where it has been proven to help with injuries and help with mental health and things like that?
I think one of the biggest issues going forward is all these leagues have weed banned, and there's no reason for it. And so there's poor victims like Josh Gordon. There's no reason this guy should have ever failed a drug test because weed shouldn't be on the list.
Right.
But the issue is that weed, I will say this as someone who smokes, it is a performance-enhancing drug. It helps with recovery, and it helps even with training. And there are countless NBA and NFL players who are clearly blazed when they're playing. And they'll even talk about it.
Yeah.
They even talk about it. There's the infamous fourth drug test in the NBA, and people think, it's after the fourth drug test, you don't get tested anymore. And people think, they're going to do all these steroids. No, they're getting blazed right after that fourth drug test. And you can see guys, their eyes are bloodshot, yellow and red, and on the field, and look, it does help. And so I think that's the biggest issue is, one, it's going to help with the health, but two, it is a performance enhancing drug. Mm-hmm. So where do you think they're going to come down on that?
I don't know. And it's just interesting because guys who have done real PEDs have been let back into the league a lot quicker than Josh Gordon has. So I'm just like, what is this issue with marijuana?
Brian Cushing has been suspended for steroids almost so many times, and he'll even admit to it. He'll even be like, yeah, it was my bad, I got caught. And it's but it's so different for steroids than, steroids are such a small thing compared to all the other things. It's a shame. You got anything to say, Russell?
No, you guys got it, man.
Oh, no, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah,
Stay off the weed.
yeah.
Thank you for saying that because it brought me to one point. Football has always been a sport about discipline, right?
Yeah.
And you can say what you want about
that's smart.
Weed and smoking and should be legal, should it not. Something me and Niles talked about earlier in the show. If somebody is going to pay you
right
$5 million, and the only thing you have to do is not smoke no more, I don't care how much you like it, stop smoking.
I'm done. Easily.
There's no weed in the world good enough to blow $5 million a year.
Well, I can give you a counter argument to that, though. They're finding that CTE, one of the best ways to prevent and recover from the effects of it, is weed. So, as we're going forward into this world of concussions, how can you say you're for player safety, but one of the things proven to give player safety in a substance you're banning? And so now they're in a very precarious position where they're trying to take two positions that are counter to each other.
They're stopping CTE. They definitely.
That's a really good point, Aaron. That's a really good point. But I'm just, for me, if you're looking at it from the financial standpoint, if I'm an agent, I'm really pissed off at you.
Right, I'm gonna slap him.
Yeah.
Look, man, I'm in this business to make money. I'm in this business to make you as much money as I can.
He could have cashed out.
You're limiting your earning potential and my earning potential by not putting the blunt.
I think you make an excellent point. Football is so militaristic, and it's all about. Like they wouldn't have even phrased it like you took away your own money. It was like you cost your teammates.
Yeah, right.
That's how they always phrase it,
Right.
and it's such a different. It is a different environment. You make a great point, Russell. It is seen completely differently in football.
Yeah, because Josh Gordon really could have cashed out. He could have been probably on the cusp of a real like Calvin Johnson-esque contract with the numbers he was putting up so early. That's what I mean. I do think marijuana should be legal in the NFL for these guys with the CTE and everything like that. But it's like, even if it isn't, you're making all that money. Like, can you, like, come on, like, just
they ask you to do one thing.
Right, one thing.
Yeah,
one thing.
That is hard to argue. That
One
is hard
thing.
to argue,
That
but yeah, I guess we should move on to the final gold medal podium topic. My topic. I really think this is the biggest story of the week. Mike Pence at the 49ers Colts game. He walked out because his virgin eyes were so offended by seeing a couple people kneel, and I always think this is funny. Isn't kneeling like one of the most like respectful like things you could do? And now it's being seen. It's being turned into something completely different. I couldn't imagine them attempting to be more respectful about this, but now kneeling has become something completely disrespectful. First of all, what do you think of this guy, Mike Pence? I don't know if you've been paying attention to the news lately. In 5 minutes, he could be the president for 5 minutes before he gets impeached.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not just somebody. This is a really important person, and he's taking a very harsh stance. What do you guys think?
You want to go first, Russ?
Yeah. I think when you look at our current administration in the White House, and you look at everything they've done in the last, what was it, about 10-ish months, nothing surprises me anymore. Nothing that comes out of that White House surprises me. Nothing that I see on Twitter when I wake up in the morning surprises me anymore. And that's sad. It's sad. It's sad that people in different aspects of life get held to a higher standard than the leader of the free world.
Yeah.
And the second leader of the free world. The whole thing was a publicity stunt.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
A
game went on right after that, and I didn't care that he left. I don't think any of the players or the fans that were at the game cared that he left.
Right.
And so I really don't think he didn't hurt my feelings. He didn't hurt the players' feelings. If I'm a player, hey, I still got my check. I made my statement. I don't care what Mike Pence or anybody else thinks. Yeah. I'm gonna do this, and you know what? I'm gonna keep it moving.
Yeah.
So I think it was a missed attempt at trying to create controversy and create attention where him and 45 could. And I really think they just missed the mark, and they've been doing that a lot since they got in.
All right. Mike Pence, you lame as hell, boy. I'm gonna say it just like that.
Boy, if you don't get
your like, you lame, bro. Like, you thought you were that important. That's why it's so funny to me, bro. You thought you were that important that you were everybody was gonna care that you walked out of the football. You thought you was Beyonce, nigga. Like, no, like you Michelle, dog. Like, he thought he was that. That's what's so funny to me.
Hey, we ain't gonna have no Michelle singing.
Michelle,
that gospel album was tight, bro.
Shut up. But anyway, he really thought he was that important. He held that much weight and respect that people were gonna like, oh my God, Mike Pence walked out of the games. Maybe we should really care. Like, dog, what does that do for the veterans that you say that they're disrespecting? What does that do for the people that you spent all of our tax dollars by having all this VP security and things and having things blocked off so you could go to a game for 10 minutes? You're selfish, you're not a good leader, and you're ridiculous. You're an idiot. Bro, that was literally the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. And then, you mean nothing to the guy that you work for, because Donald Trump completely undermined you and tweeted, I told Mike to leave the game if anybody knew. Mm-hmm. So we knew from the get-go this was Donald's idea, not yours. So if you a man if you, this guy who has all this respect for the country and respect for himself, why is Donald Trump literally telling you everything to do? You play second fiddle, you're a little puppet, and the reason you're there is so that way nobody kills Donald because nobody wants you to be president either. Because you believe gay kids should go do shock therapy. We'll talk about that later. But like, bro, you're ridiculous. Like, don't ever come to another NFL game again. Nobody wants you there. So just stop.
Well, and you guys must find it hypocritical that he and all these politicians who are offended at the people who are kneeling for the national anthem.
So
these are the same politicians who voted against health care, who voted against
troops.
the VA getting expanded, who voted against the troops coming back
Exactly.
from war, who voted against any mental health care for any of these guys when they kill themselves at a rate that's like the amount of veterans that we lose per day just to suicide is over 40 a day.
Yeah.
40
It's
a
crazy.
day.
And the number is growing, increasing.
And yet you care about guys kneeling.
Yeah.
But is there any defense? Maybe he walked in there and he saw that it was the 49ers and the Colts and he's like, I'm out. Fuck this. These teams suck. Scott Tolzien,
Right.
Goodbye.
That was really his first mistake. You were at a Colts 49ers game. That was the first
Yeah.
mistake there. And I was like, man, if that's what it takes to make you leave, like let's just all go take a knee on the White House lawn. get them niggas out. So.
All right. Well, yeah. So let's organize the podium, the winner's circle.
Winner's circle.
The winner's circle today.
Oh, I want to go first in the winner's circle. I got some ish to talk. You know who's in my winner's circle? My LA Dodgers, who Russ here, the Chicago sports journalist, the sports extraordinaire, said we're gonna get beat to a pulp by the Arizona Diamondbacks.
So did I. I said that too.
But you know what we did, baby? We pulled the sweep. Justin Turner with 5 RBIs in the last game. We can't be stopped right now. I'm saying we win the World Series. I'm just throwing it out there. I don't care. I don't care. We're winning the World Series. Russ was wrong, and I get to tell that on YouTube. And
well, the last time Niles made a prediction that an LA team would win a championship, the LA Sparks were up 2-1, and then they haven't won since, and they lost the championship. So keep predicting that the LA teams are going to win. That was on Secret Black People meeting, by the way.
Here's my thing, bro. I never said get beat to a pulp. Argument why I thought the Dodgers would win, and one of them was Cody Bellinger, who hit an important home run in Game 2.
he was amazing.
So, if we're really going to be honest here, right about his prediction of Arizona winning? No, but did they get beat to a pulp? Did I say that?
I'm just saying I had full confidence in my Dodgers from the start. This guy did. Where the White Sox right now?
Hey. This rebuild though.
Rebuild season is real. What's the y'all's winner circle?
All right, well, you can go first, Russell.
Oh, mine's real quick. We talked about them already. The Jacksonville Jaguars playing good football right now. First in the AFC South.
Yeah.
I don't see a reason with the defense that they have and with Blake Bortles holding him and make sure he doesn't turn the ball over as much as he may want to.
Right.
I think that team is going to go to the playoffs.
Okay.
I really like the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I just see it.
The way they beat up on the Steelers, Ben Roethlisberger looks so flustered.
He's terrible.
It was like he was back in the courtroom all over again. I mean, he was like, I don't even know if I have it anymore. Can I even go into bathrooms? You know, and so he got dominated. That front four, Calais Campbell, Dexter Fowler Jr.
Yeah.
I mean, they were coming. The tackles could not stop them. They actually look. For once, they actually match the mascot. They used to be kitty cats, and now they're Jaguars.
Yeah. I think they definitely they could have like what the Bears did with Rex Grossman, where that defense just played so well.
Oh, such a good
Rex
analogy.
Grossman just all he had to do was just not mess up.
Or like the Ravens with that one.
Trent Dilfer.
Yeah, Trent Dilfer.
So Blake Bortles, if you just don't mess up, they go. I agree. I think they go to the playoffs.
All right.
I think the coolest thing about it, they're doing all of this without their best wide receiver, Allen Robinson.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you do that by leading the league in turnovers like they're doing right now, and leading the league in takeaways.
Defense
And then Fournette doing what he's doing,
Right.
because as soon as he stops running the ball, I'm worried about Blake Bortles.
Yeah.
But as long as they're running the ball and they're ahead, Good luck.
Yeah.
They're a really good team.
I think they'll lose in the first round. That's cool.
But that's still a hell of a lot better than they have done.
Right.
I mean, the last playoff win I can remember them having was a beatdown of my Dan Marino led Dolphins. It was painful, but that was like in the 90s. So yeah.
Jacksonville, man.
Yeah. So but none of your winners circle candidates compare to mine because Joel Embiid got paid, and after playing 32 games in 246 possible games in 3 years, Joel Embiid, bravo. I wish I could get paid that much for doing that little. I mean, I know you're showing a lot of potential, and it actually might be a good bargain, but if anyone thinks that you can work an eighth of the time and then get paid like that, and that's not a steal, I mean, Joel Embiid, you are a genius, and I'm impressed by you.
Man. If anybody ever wanted to know what white privilege looked like, that's Joel Embiid right now. That is what it is. You do the eighth of the work, and you get a bag. You get $150 million. That's white privilege. Joel Embiid, you doing it for the culture, dog. I love you.
That's so good.
Scam these.
Yo, the only thing I agree with everything you just said. The only thing that he has to do, which is probably the hardest part of this contract, is stay healthy, and he gets all that money. Because a lot of people, there's a lot of incentives in this deal about him staying healthy. And so if he doesn't stay healthy for the full amount of time, he doesn't get the full amount of money.
Right.
I know there's a big part guarantee, but there's a lot of incentives in there. So if Joel Embiid can stay healthy, and like we can put him in a bubble maybe, then
bubble
we
boy.
can secure back.
That's what I'm saying, man. I like Joel's game, man. He plays hard on the defensive end. He protects the rim, but he gets buckets. He can get buckets on the offensive end. He can handle the ball a little bit. I'm excited to see what the Sixers look like this year.
His potential is as high as his contract.
They said Ben Simmons is looking good too, so I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see what they look like.
Yeah, I'd be impressed if they played a combined 30 games together though.
Right.
So, let's organize these bronze, silver, and gold. Who's the ultimate winner today? So we got the Jags.
Secure the bag. I think we secure the bag. You're always the number one.
Yeah, I'm biased to $150 million, and he didn't do no work.
Joel Embiid.
That's like my dream in life, to not really do nothing and get paid for it. So,
I think it's everyone's dream. Joel Embiid, you lived the dream.
He's living the American dream.
Because really, look at what Kobe and Shaq did. They worked so hard. Look at what he did. He didn't work hard at all. You're living the dream, kid.
Right,
so you're gonna be the winner. Dodgers, Jags, silver and bronze. Who gets the silver? I really think
it's playoff time.
Dodgers.
Yeah, exactly. So Jags, you get the bronze. But have you ever even gotten a bronze before? You should feel amazing.
Exactly. The
Jags are like, yes, we got a bronze medal.
Right.
Yeah. But Podium of Shame and. I think we might all have some special ones for this one.
We all got some good ones, man.
Let's start off with the man who won the Podium of Shame last time with his argument on Cam Newton. Russell Dorsey, what is your Podium of Shame this week?
The funny part is after all that last week with Cam, mine is relatively whack compared to what y'all did. I know. I'm gonna stick with my gold story. Rick Pitino is on my in my Podium of Shame this week. After you say, you tell the media, you tell your friends, your homies in the media that I didn't do anything wrong, that always means you did something wrong. Also, come to find out in a report done by ESPN that Rick Pitino got 98% of the money that was brought in by Adidas in their contract. That contract was for $160 million, right?
Good
so 90% of $160 million is $157 million. Whew. And Rick Pitino's in my loser circle, not because he got caught. Because he's in my loser circle because he got caught. He had a bag man, he had a handler, and that dude dropped the ball. When you have a scapegoat, the point of it is not to come back on you. So, Rick Pitino, you're on my Podium of Shame this week, and you're in the loser circle.
Yeah, Rick effed up, just like big time. And the thing is, like, I don't see him getting an NBA opportunity after this either. Because I mean, he squandered his NBA opportunity before this Louisville job. And then just when he was, because he coached the Boston Celtics when Paul Pierce was younger, and they were terrible when he was there. And just with the whole like sex party thing that happened last year that they still don't know if Rick really knew much about. I think there's still more investigation going into that. We could learn more about that later too.
That's my thing. When you always get caught, always 2009, extortion case.
Yeah.
2015, this thing with the strippers and the escorts coming in and out of the dorm.
Yeah.
And then this, like, why are you always getting caught?
Yeah, that's a great point.
That means you got sucky people as your handlers and your babysitter, and that means you're not really keeping tabs on what's going on in your house.
Nope.
Yeah, that's very true.
Maybe you don't need to be a coach no more.
Maybe not.
All right.
You guys, I know you got a lot, so you guys go ahead. Take the rest of the time.
No, Niles, who's your Podium of Shame this week?
ESPN, I'm about to fire your ass up. So ESPN thought it'd be smart to suspend one of my favorite journalists ever, Jemele Hill, for 2 weeks. First of all, y'all can't be grounding her like she in 6th grade. This is a grown-ass woman, first of all. You're going to suspend her for 2 weeks. They said she violated their social media policy yet again because she said that basically the fans mad about what Jerry Jones has done. Jerry Jones came out and said that the players needed to stand for the anthem or they would be benched. The fans were mad about that. Some fans were mad on the other side of him taking the knee in Arizona, which it was a fake protest. I don't even know why this side is really mad at Jerry. So basically, she was telling the fans, if you want to hurt Jerry Jones and the Cowboys, don't hurt the players with the viewership ratings and not supporting them. Hurt, if you want to really make an impact, hurt Jerry at the advertisements for the Cowboys and things like that. Hurt him in his pockets. That's what she suggested. She didn't call for a boycott. She didn't incite any revolution or anything like that. She was just saying what's the best possibility, because hurting the players because of a decision that the owner made is not fair, which I totally agree with. And so ESPN basically decided that was a violation of their social media policy, so they completely suspended her from her show for 2 weeks, and now she's not on the air. And so this makes me start to see ESPN for what it is, because ESPN tries to pride itself as this liberal light in sports and this progressive entity and all these kind of things. But when the rubber really meets the road, they always cower back from progressive actions. And that is what Jemele Hill is calling for. And so basically what you're saying is, ESPN, you want a black audience and you want this black viewership, you want to market to black people, but you don't really want black voices talking on your channel. You don't want black voices telling the truth. You don't want black voices really telling what's up. Because that's all that she did. Because honestly, anything that she said, what did she say that wasn't true? Everything about Donald Trump, what did she say that wasn't true? And so like all these things, it really bothers me that you have such a great employee that does her job so well and she stands on the right side of things, but just when it gets a little too controversial, ESPN literally just takes the rug out from under her and doesn't support this journalist that they have that I think is just so amazing. And so my thing with ESPN is 30, 40 years from now, you make a 30 for 30 about everything that's going on in the NFL and all this stuff going on with black people in America. Are you going to tell the truth and show how you were on the wrong side of history and how you did Jemele Hill wrong? How do you make a 30 for 30 about yourself when you're the villain? I don't see how's that going to happen.
What if I told you?
Right. What if I told you when black people needed help, we didn't give a damn? Like, it's just like, it's just these large corporations, man, they play both sides because they're just trying to make as much money as possible. And, the Jerry Jones, Donald Trump, these rich white guys are almost untouchable to these certain corporations. So you have a person of color that actually expresses their voice and tells the truth, they're threatened by that. And so their first action is to suspend you. So.
What do you think about Michael Smith not doing the show?
That was cool. He elected to not do the show that night, but I know moving forward over these next couple weeks, he's going to host the show by himself, and they're going to have different people come in and do different segments and stuff like that. So, but yeah, good for Michael Smith. That was awesome. I would have been like, yeah, I'm not going to do the show if she's not doing it with me. So.
Yeah,
that Niles killed the game with that. The only thing I have to add to that is, you find out who people really are when you start to mess with their pocket.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So when you start to mess with not Jerry Jones and NFL's pockets, but ESPN probably has some of those same sponsors as the NFL, as Jerry Jones, and they're like, hey yo, you need to calm your girl down over here.
For sure.
Because we pay you money.
Mm-hmm.
So you start to find out who people really are when you mess with their pockets. And then the last thing for me is, I can't believe we come to a place in our country where calling out something that's wrong is looked at worse than the thinking that's actually wrong. Like, calling out racism now is worse than actually being racist.
You're the real racist. Shut the hell up.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. Excellent.
And it's crazy. Why does ESPN have a stricter social media policy than the White House? Somebody needs to explain that to me. This dude gets on Twitter every day and tweets the most outlandish, crazy things.
Does the White House even have a Twitter policy?
They probably don't, because they didn't have. There was no Twitter. Twitter didn't come in until the last year of George Bush's presidency. He's not the brightest light bulb, so he probably didn't have a smartphone. And then Obama didn't tweet unless something actually happened. Donald Trump gets up and tweets about literally everything. 40 million followers, crazy.
Well, you lit the hell out of ESPN. That was great. I'm going to have a tough time competing with that, but my podium of shame, you'll love this, Russell. Mike Ditka.
Bruh.
I forget the exact quote, but he said there's no evidence of racism in the last 100 years.
Black oppression.
Yeah, essentially. And first of all, I think it is funny that at this time, right now, when Colin Kaepernick doesn't have a job, and you can say that, when there have been 102 quarterbacks in the history, actually less than 102 quarterbacks in the history of time, who've ever taken their teams to the Super Bowl, and he's one of them. And there's over 100 QBs, that are employed by the NFL, and he's not one of them. I think that's the definition of white privilege, actually. The fact that one of the best in the game cannot participate.
Right.
And in the last 100 years, there was definitely a Satchel Paige, but you can move up to more recent examples. Warren Moon had to go into the Canadian Football League for like 5 or 6 years, and he's one of the greatest of all time. He's Black Dan Marino, essentially. Yeah. One of the smoothest, quickest releases you've ever seen. There's no reason he should have been in the Canadian Football League. Yeah. And you go down the line and just look at your own peer group. How many black coaches were there when you were coaching Mike Ditka back in the 80s? I mean, it's just, he is just being so blind to it. And the funny thing is, Mike Ditka, he actually could have ran against Barack Obama for the Illinois Senate seat, and he would have beat Barack Obama because of his notoriety. Russell, Mike Ditka is the most popular thing in Chicago at that time, right? I mean, 2008.
Even today, even after all of this, Mike Ditka might be one of the most popular, not only sports figures, but figures in Illinois, let alone Chicago. Well, and the fact that he said that there hasn't been oppression in the United States in over 100 years, if he went to the south side of Chicago, the west side of the city which he coached in, there's oppression there.
So smart,
It's pure ignorance, and I don't think there's much comment needs to be said on this. This is the same guy who would fall asleep on air, a contributor for ESPN. So I'm not surprised by this. Ignorance is always everywhere, and I'm not surprised.
You make such a good point. He coaches the Chicago Bears. 760 people a year die from gun violence, and there's a little bit of racism involved, just a little bit. But
and it's crazy. It's just like the sad thing is, are we really surprised that Mike Ditka is a racist? Like, are we really surprised at that? Like, come on, like, are we really surprised?
I just think it's the ironic thing is,
and it hurts to say, like, I wasn't even surprised, like, that this dude thinks this way. And he said some things before. I want to give a couple facts on Mike Ditka. Mike Ditka, you were 29 years old when Martin Luther King was assassinated. No oppression there. Emmett Till and Mike Ditka will be the same age right now.
Whoa!
Yeah, that's how you old as hell, boy. You and Emmett Till would be the same age right now. Emmett Till had been murdered by 3 white men for allegedly whistling at a white woman. Mike Ditka, I'm pretty sure you whistled at a few white women in your time. You're still alive. Also, when Mike Ditka coached, not when he coached in Chicago, when he was in Chicago, Martin Luther King was giving a speech where he was talking about how he wanted to talk about redistribution of wealth and basically desegregation of the housing in Chicago. This is a big city. Basically, the people in Chicago did not like that he said this, and white people started rioting during Martin Luther King's speech in Chicago. They ran him out. They had to get Martin Luther King to safety. So I'm just kind of like, all these things just in the little environments and pockets that you've actually been in have happened. And so basically, this is what Mike Ditka is really saying, and this is what a lot of white people that complain about what's going on, what they're really trying to say is, I'm tired of hearing about this. I'm tired of hearing about this. It makes me uncomfortable. I don't want to talk about it. I just want to watch my football. I don't want these black people to shut up. That's what Mike Ditka really wanted to say. Yeah. And so for this, just having an outlandish statement like there's been no oppression in the last 100 years. You know how many things have happened since 1917?
Yeah.
Come on.
But I just think it is.
You know how many things have happened since October 10th, 2017?
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I just think it's so ironic. He could have stopped Barack Obama from being president, and yet he didn't run for the Illinois Senate, and now look what happened. So I guess, you know, it is pretty funny looking at what it is. But I got to give you credit, Niles. You roasted Mike Ditka and Jemele Hill better than pretty much anybody today. So I'll give you the choice. Who's the Podium of Shame gold medal, since you roasted the both out of it?
I would say ESPN is the biggest fool of all
right
now, because they look really stupid right now.
All right, so ESPN, Ditka, then Rick Pitino. Yeah, that's a great Podium of Shame. So much shame on that podium.
So much shame.
There's a ton.
And it sucks because, like, Mike Ditka's in one of my favorite movies, Kicking and Screaming with Will Ferrell. That is a great, funny movie, and Mike Ditka is like really funny in that movie.
I'm one of the Italians you'd pass it to.
Exactly,
movie,
you know,
so.
that was a great movie, but it ruins it now. That's one. Can we just talk about this for a second? Like, that is one thing I hate with like entertainment and art and all this kind of thing. Like, if you're black and you're a fan of like a white celebrity, like there's always this chance like they might be racist.
Whoa.
And then like you can't enjoy their stuff. Like, I can't watch Mel Gibson movies anymore.
Oh yeah, I get that.
I can't watch Kicking and Screaming anymore. There's so many like white people, like just things I can't enjoy anymore because I'm just like, if I saw you, you'd call me a nigger. Like, I don't like you anymore. Like, it's just...
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, Mike Ditka, you ruined Kicking and Screaming for me. So, in fact, let's put Mike Ditka gold. He just ruined a Will Ferrell. He ruined a Will Ferrell comedy for me. Like, that's... Racism's one thing, but you just ruined a Will Ferrell comedy.
On last minute upset.
I'll say one last thing. Will Ferrell probably killed the Will Ferrell movie.
That's blasphemy.
Thank you. Thank you. As we're two comedians, but we have differing opinions. I really agree with
Will
Russell
Ferrell
on
is a
that.
legend. Y'all better stop.
He just says what's happening. That's all I give him. He just says what's happening on screen. Oh, there's a baby! Whoa! It's like,
hey, Will, I need a job. So they talking that noise. I think you're a legend. You're amazing. Hire me.
you hire this suck up.
Right.
He could be your fluffer.
I would kiss ass.
Yeah, but anyways, this has been an amazing podium.
It's been fun.
I honestly, I have so much fun talking about this stuff. I've been waiting my whole life to talk about this.
Yeah.
So thank you guys. Russell, you're a goddamn genius. Niles, but anyways, Russell, you're really smart and really, really amazing. You know, and I just like, it's really cool to get to know some of your opinions. Niles, thank you very much. You guys have anything to end with?
You guys next week?
Yeah, see you guys next week.
See you next Thursday.
Episode 4, right?
See, this is episode 3, but yes.
Next episode is what?
And next
official.
Y'all know I dropped out of college, so numbers be hurting a nigga head.
But yeah, see you next Thursday, guys. Thank you guys so much. See you next week on the podium.
Fuck, Mike.